do a few lives. I'm gonna try to do maybe two more. I'm cutting them off into segments, so I got some time, so I can't spend a whole bunch of time talking about this one particular subject because I got to get one more in. I'm gonna talk some WNBA and how you know Asia Wilson is clearly the best player in the WNBA. So that's not even up for discussion. But nevertheless, you know, ever since Caitlin Clark started to get her name out there, and for some reason she became, I don't know, the media uh appointed savior or the messiah, and anybody who didn't agree, they was accused of quote unquote racism. You've been hearing the media holler about it's racism. You've been hearing a lot of content creators hollering reverse racism, which, by the way, there's no such thing as reverse racism. You've been hearing, so-called fans or casuals holler reverse racism towards her. Now, it's funny, once again, here you have the Mayonnaise Nation or the Clear People, or, what I'm saying, the Elmer's Glue Village, claiming racism when it pertains to Caitlin Clark, which I don't think it's racism. It's just people having a fair assessment and just saying, wait a minute, we don't have to think how you think. If we think somebody other than Caitlin Clark is the best player in the WNBA, it's all right. And who are you to tell us otherwise? But this is what white people do. If you don't agree with them, or if you don't follow their lead because they feel like they have to be the standards and they want to be the overseer and have dominion over everybody, to the point where they get bothered if you don't agree with them. And they've always done that. Either they harass you or they try to shame you. But you're not finna shame me in regards to Caitlin Clark. She is not the best player. She's not even, first of all, she's not even in top 10 in scoring. Like I said, the best player in the WNBA, whether you like it or not, is black. And she plays for the Las Vegas Aces. She proved it yesterday. Right now, Angel Reese is a leading candidate, or the leading candidate, for Rookie of the Year. 18 and 11. She is a double machine. She's a female version of Dennis Rodman, except she can score. Okay, so, but that being said, Malika Andrews is clearly exercising white supremacy, and it's without a shadow of a doubt. She is a vocal cord for behind the scenes white supremacy. Here it is. You got these disturbing stories that's coming out about JJ Redick. You had a disturbing story about Josh Giddey. You had several disturbing stories in regards to non-black athletes being accused of everything from sexual assault to domestic violence. But yet, ESPN says nothing. They covered up the Josh Giddey situation. But then they couldn't wait to talk about and had this long segment about Von Miller, allegedly. And then when you call this out, they like to play stupid. It's funny how white people want to set the standards and they want to define or redefine what is the true version of racism. When you talk about so-called racism being inflicted on them, they'll talk about it all day and all night, and you'll have casuals say, yeah, that's correct. But then when you talk about racism directed towards black people, all of a sudden here it is. Oh, you're playing the race card. Oh, victimhood. Oh, why are you talking about this? We are far removed from race. Bullshit. But here it is. ESPN is not saying nothing. Once again, the NBA is not saying nothing. Where's the NBA's investigation into this Josh Giddey thing? Where was the NBA's real investigation into now what's going on with JJ Redick? They basically tried to muzzle and cover up this story, just like they're not saying anything. Now, I want you guys to know something. I applied and I put in my paperwork. I put in my paperwork to basically be able to cover NBA events and, cover the NBA. Because actually what I'm trying to do is next year is the inauguration of the Bay Area WNBA team. I forgot what they called. Now, the funny thing is they're going to be based out of Oakland, but they're going to play in San Francisco. Whatever. So I guess if they win a championship, the parade is going to be in Oakland instead of San, whatever. But nevertheless, I put in for my paperwork. I had to fill out all this. I had to fill out paperwork and all this stuff to get credentials to cover it, because I just really want to cover the All-Star game that's going to be in the Bay Area next year. I don't care if I ever cover an NBA event, to be honest with you. But they already said they're going to check your background. They're going to check. So, okay, fine. But it just goes to show you that the NBA is very particular about who they let in. So that just goes to show you that they have control over what stories are allowed to get out versus stories that get out. I'm telling you right now, and I know for a fact, and probably Tika can verify this, there are certain subject matters that they tell media people not to talk about, and that they tell you don't ask questions about. And this is just one of them. But here it is, Malika Andrews, who I'm talking about the intensity and the vitriol and the crusade she's done going after, in particularly black men. I just cannot get over when Adrian Payne had lost his life. And she sat up there and brought up some incident that happened in college that got dismissed because of lack of evidence, because they believed that the person in question was not telling the truth. Man, it just lost his life. His family should have sued the shit out of ESPN. She slandered that dude's name. And then Emi Udoka, who had basically an affair with a married woman who stepped out on her husband, but yet he was demonized. His name was ran through the mud. They made it look like he was the worst person on the face of the earth, which I think Danny Ainge played a pivotal role in getting his name out there and slandering his name. And then when Joe Mazzulla was hired, she brought up something that happened with Joe Mazzulla that happened a long time ago that had nothing to do with him being hired. She doesn't have no problem bringing up black man's past, but yet she said nothing about JJ Redick. When she did that quick run-by segment on Josh Giddey, she looked like she was about to fall apart. Like, I have to talk about a white man. But then you just see this vitriol that she has for black men. Now, eventually, when the heat really starts to pile on Malika Andrews, let me tell you what she's going to do. Take notes closely. Take notes closely. This is what she's going to do. She's going to have some segment, and she's going to say, I hear people are accusing me of just going after black men. I find that despicable, disrespectful, and disturbing. My father is black. So? What does that mean? Now, you've seen her bring in a rabbi to talk about the situation with Kyrie Irving. She done had no problem going after Kyrie Irving. Which, when you look at it, it looks worse and worse how Kyrie Irving was demonized. But yet you got dudes that's doing actual questionable stuff. But yet Malika Andrews is nowhere to be found. ESPN is nowhere to be found. And then the thing is, they just keep like sacrificing their black analysts, reporters. They the ones that take a beating. And then the funny thing is, when they're all used up, they toss them to the side as if it never happened. But then here go the thing. You got people that'll come on my channel and say, oh, there you guys go again, bringing up the race car. So let me get this straight. So the race car doesn't exist when it pertains to Caitlin Clark. But when it pertains to black people, then all of a sudden it's victimhood. Nobody plays victimhood more than the mayonnaise nation. But the thing is, they control, you know what I'm saying? They control the masses. So basically, they can control what gets put out and what doesn't get put out. Because they control mainstream media. Even though it's got to the point their credibility has evaporated, because now people see what they all about. So I'm just looking at the fact that this is going to eventually backfire on Malika Andrews. And I just want to say, Malika Andrews, when they get tired of you and they toss you out on your ass, don't come talking that sister girl stuff. At least keep it 100 like Stage Steel did. Stage Steel, she decided she ride for the other side. Okay, cool. Keep it that way. But don't come talking that sister girl. I'm from Oakland and Black like Goodfella Sports TV say, stay on that side. We're not doing this anymore. Once you out, you out. You chose to, you know what I'm saying? You decided to play for the other team. You decided to exercise white supremacy. You decide to be used as a black face to exercise white supremacy. Stay on that side. We don't need you. We good. We Gucci. Whatever the case may be. She hasn't said nothing. She hasn't said nothing. Whenever these white boys do something, all of a sudden ESPN don't have time to do a 10-minute segment and a panel and discuss these white dudes' disturbing behavior. You know? Nothing, no Chad Willer. Didn't say nothing. But then every time you look around, they got time to talk about Diddy. They got time to talk about Will Smith. But they don't have time to talk about Ezra Miller. They don't got time to talk about Kevin Spacey. They never have time for the white boys, but they got all the time in the world to talk about the brothers. And then when you point this out, they try to muzzle you. They try to shame you. Listen, I'm going to say this to the people in the Powdered Milk Village. You're not going to deter me from talking about blatant and obvious racism. If you don't like my channel, nobody is forcing you to listen to my channel. See, the thing is, you pass laws to basically hide your guilt. You call it critical race theory. You call it all kind of other stuff. You just make up these fake terminologies. Fake ideology. Either you try to redirect, rewrite, or deflect. So stop it. So Malika Andrews' behavior doesn't surprise me. This is how she rolls. She's been doing this. But it's going to eventually backfire. But I'm telling you, when people apply more pressure, they're going to have her do some segment. She's going to say it's preposterous. And how could somebody even think something like this when she comes from a black father and a white... bitch, please. We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. Everybody sees what you do. Everybody sees what you've been doing, what you're going to continue to do. The media can play stupid all they want. ESPN can play stupid all they want. They can sit up there and have Stephen A. Smith be the Negro whisperer, which nobody pays attention to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith has zero credibility. Nobody respects Stephen A. Smith anymore. Why you think Stephen A. Smith is responding to anybody that says something? Because he's falling apart, having so-called emotional breakdowns right before our eyes to a certain degree. I'll say so-called. because that's what it looked like. But I think, to me, Stephen A. Smith is falling apart because now he's responding to everybody that says anything about it, which means it's in his head. So there you have it. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. I'm out.